evening, Anushka. We are super thrilled to have you today in our fireside chat as a part of the alumni series. If you could just introduce yourself to our audience today.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Gunjan, and hi, everybody that's tuning in. I'm Anushka, as Gunjan mentioned, from India. Been here, raised here all my life. And a little bit about me. So it was around eighth or ninth grade that I read up about investment banking, and I got interested in the field of finance. So with that idea, went on to do my bachelor's in business administration, where I majored in finance and accountancy. At that time, I also pursued my ACCA, which is UK's chartered accountancy that I completed, just to know how to read financial reports and just have like a thorough knowledge of the world of finance totally. Right after that, I went and joined a KPO in Mumbai, where I worked with private equity teams from the US and also a little bit of investment banking. And then I was there for that stint for about 2.5 years. Wanted a steeper learning curve and changed into private credit, where I was working with the Asia team of a global investment company.
Right, great. And Anushka, if you could just inform the audience on the different offers that you have across the schools that you
Right, sure.
applied to.
Yeah, so I applied only to European schools, and I got offers from London Business School, ESA, Cambridge, Oxford, and IE and Imperial Business School as well.
Great. Was pursuing an MBA always a part of your plan or not?
Right. Yeah, I think I mentioned it was in ninth or tenth grade where I decided I want to
Yes,
work in the field of finance. And so
yes.
I think right from then I had decided I would want to pursue an MBA eventually. I hadn't decided at which point I would do it, but it was
Mm.
planned in the overall line of career that I imagined just for leadership at the time that I would pursue an MBA at some point.
Right. And what were some of the biggest insecurities or doubts that you had during this application process?
I think my biggest fear was that I thought that maybe my story is not good enough or deep enough, or I don't have enough in my story, enough punch or enough sad stories to kind of
Ah,
show to the
yeah, yeah.
committee. And I just, feared that should I take more time? Should I do more? Should I add more accolades to my application? And I think before I ever started, those were my biggest fears of if everything that I'm going to put in the application, everything I've done so far enough.
Right. No, I think you really touched the chord there because so many of clients come to us and say that we don't have a sad story. And honestly, you don't need a sad story. It's not it's an MBA application at the end of the day, right? So it's completely fine if your life has been great and yet you have a mission which is larger than yourself. Um, Great. Now, what motivated you to apply now instead of waiting? So I know that you have a solid work experience, but when in while working did you realize that now is the time to start and take the MBA?
Yeah, so I am right now at the 5 year mark, where I'm about to go into business school. And I thought the 5 year mark would be a sweet spot in terms of I would have enough exposure professionally to contribute meaningfully to the classroom, but also be early enough in my career where I can be molded from other people's experiences, from what I'm learning from other professors and students or the market. And instead of becoming like a narrow professional where I'm already set in my ways, just expand my horizons a lot more. And that's why I decided, okay, I think I should do it now instead of waiting for another 3 years and then that keeps going on. I was already up
Mm.
for a promotion. And I thought, that cycle would continue and I would miss out on necessary skills that I can probably apply and learn during business school instead of taking a way longer time to learn it on the job.
Great. And what habits helped you? You said that you had a pretty demanding job. So what habits helped you stay consistent during the application process?
Yeah, I think one thing, and it was really simple that I did was use a clear tracker. I just use Excel. That's one platform that I'm most comfortable with. I think for other people, it can be anything. And then I just broke everything down, the entire process. So, what are all the schools that I'm going to be applying to? right? And within the schools, what are different stages? What are the deadlines for each school? What all do I need for each school? Let's say, does one have a Kira interview? Does one not have a Kira interview? Something like that. And then within the application, just everything that's there. And then I had like everything marked in orange. And as and when I completed each part, I just changed it to green. So that was like a dopamine hit for me. And for me, it was instead of a big feat now that I have to achieve, it just became digestible pieces of tasks that I had to just do every single day. And then that made it less overwhelming for me, and I could stay on track better and stay consistent because of that.
Yeah, I think just breaking the whole application into smaller parts and then achieving the smaller parts just gives you a lot more momentum and keeps you going, right? Because if you look at the whole picture, it can actually look very overwhelming. So, I know that you've shared that LBS was always your dream and you've always been wanting to go to LBS, but could you throw more insights on how did you then finally make the selection of LBS over other colleges? What were the practical resources or things that you considered when taking the final call?
Yeah, I think I was 16 when I decided I want to go to LBS, and it at that time, 10 years ago, it was extremely international still. And I thought I'm going to get the world at one place. But at 26 now, I think I did look at it more practically, as you mentioned. And prestige aside, a few things that particularly kind of stood out about LBS to me. Number one was the location itself, right? You're at the heart of London, you're at the heart of a big asset hub, one of the biggest asset hubs in the world. And because you're at the center of it, you're learning live with the markets. You have more opportunity to meet professionals who are working in your field. I have worked in finance. I do have goals to continue working in finance. So I thought, just staying at the heart of it continuously would give me that constant exposure to be and learn from also the field that I want to join, apart from classrooms and peers. The other thing was just the flexibility of the course itself. You have flexible exit points, but you also have flexible subjects that you can choose, right? You can mix and match as you like. So someone who say let's wants to get into consumer investing can take up retail and consumer classes, which ideally might be a marketing class, but mix that with the particular finance investing classes that they want and marry the two for that perfect combination for each person. And finally, just the culture, right? A big part of going to business school is building a network and not just getting contacts. And LBS has a very vast network, a huge culture that is rooted in collaboration. I actually visited the campus last October, right before I applied. And I was at a table where it was me, someone who worked in credit investing from India, a marketing professional from the US, an engineer from China, and this another guy who worked at an investment bank in London but was from Africa. And so just to see that kind of diversity at one place, everybody trying to help each other at one place from different parts, I think it was really eye-opening and motivating to me that just felt like, okay, this is LBS. This table right here is what LBS stands for.
Right. Great. So we'll move to section two now, which is on GMAT, GRE, and academics. How important do you think scores really are for admissions?
I think scores are important, but they act as a first cut. I personally think it's about, do you match the requirement for that particular school, and then the requirement for each school then differs of what they consider, let's say, average, right? And I think it looks different for every school. It's not a guarantee that if you've gotten a stellar score, you're gonna get into that school that you've dreamt about. And it has some weight, but it's not everything that is to the application.
Right. And could you tell our audience a little bit about your own test prep journey?
Yeah, I think my journey was really long. It took a couple of years. I tried to do the GMAT. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do the MBA at some point. It's valid for 5 years. I started, then I stopped. I started, there would be something else, then I wasn't consistent with it. So it was really long. I was anxious if I would do well in the GMAT. And because I wasn't consistent. I just never came to book my exam, and then I would just lose touch. So when I finally put my mind to it, I was actually able to do it in a couple of months. Just book the exam, set the date, really focused. And that really helped. And the shift of just thinking that this is a logic-based exam, they're testing leadership, logic-based skills that you're gonna be solving in your MBA as well or in life later, kind of really helped me tackle it.
Right. Yeah. It's actually, it takes time to build momentum. And especially when you're working, you have to be considerate of the fact that you should factor in the time when you're applying also in such a manner that you have time to take multiple attempts and improve your score and then go ahead and give your best score. So thank you for sharing that. We'll move to section 3, which is on essays. What did the introspection process teach you about yourself?
I think it taught me so much, honestly. I would say that's the part that took most time. And I also realized so many of my wins that I'd, not considered earlier. I just said, okay, like everyone does this, or I'd not paid much heed to it. And later on, they became some of my star stories, right? It was kind of like part therapy for me because I understood so much about myself, what are actually some of my wins where I did put in a lot more effort, which I didn't realize years later, or what are the things that I'm afraid of, or what are the things that I still want to learn and improve upon. And that kind of gave a clear roadmap and a clear picture of my life itself, of helping me in identify areas that I want to work on.
Yeah. So just for the audience to know, we have this self-reflection document, which is called the Get to Know Yourself document. And from there is where we extract star stories. So before we even begin our essays, this is the process that we follow. Now, going to the essays, now, how important do you think is storytelling in MBA applications?
I think that's the most important part. A lot of times we end up thinking it's about the GMAT score, but I think
Yeah.
storytelling is the most important part of the MBA admission, right? You can have a lot of wins or maybe a lot of depth in your application, but if you don't say it properly, or if you're not being able to put it in a certain way, then it's not useful. The other person won't get the point, right? So being able to build the story, I think, is extremely important to bring out your learnings and how you think about things and what your character actually is. They want to know you more than everything you've done or just like bullet points of I have done this or I got this
Mhm.
score. Who are you as a
Yeah.
person?
Yeah, and just to add to that, on the other hand, thankfully we still have humans who are reading these applications, and they are not bots reading the application. So, for somebody who's reading the application to remember you after they've read, it's very important that the document itself is very engaging and interesting. So, storytelling as a skill set, I believe, is one of the most important skill sets that anybody can build, not only during the process but even after the process, when you're making presentations to leadership and management. How can you inculcate storytelling in your presentation and in your way of delivering? So it is very important, and it does make a huge difference in how you tie things together and connect the dots. Did your career goals evolve during the process? Could you let us know a little bit about your career goals?
Yeah, I think I always knew I wanted to pursue finance and investing right after my MBA, but I didn't have a very clear picture of what I wanted to do on a very long term, let's say 15 years down the line, right? And I said it was part therapy. So I think just being able to break things down helped me understand a lot more about myself. And that introspection kind of brought out um, more confidence in ways, right? That maybe opening my own fund one day will be achievable, right? And so just having that clear 20-year plan is this, and this is what I
Yeah.
actually want to do now that I understand myself, gave me I think more direction as well in my efforts in my career. Now I know how or what to do for my short-term goal, but how to build upon that in the long term and have a roadmap to the long-term goal as well.
Yeah, and goals essay is one of the most important essays that most applications would ask. And schools are really interested in knowing, have you really thought through what you've done and where you're headed? So it is one of those essays that actually can move the needle. Right. So we'll move to section 4 now, Anushka, which is on consultant experience. What difference did structured mentorship make during the process for you?
I think it was an incredible experience with TRP. It really helped break down the process for me without being overwhelmed, as I mentioned. It also ha helped me clarify so many small questions throughout the process, you know. Of you keep getting, oh, what should I do for this? Or is my story enough? Or what are really my wins, right? So that really helped me get clarity in, as I said earlier, just paying heed to smaller stories in my life. And at the end of the day, you need to tell your own story. But it really helped me figure out those points or those important parts that I need to shine to put a light on, to shine to let my character shine. And so I think that deep introspection and all the chats really help break down my profile for myself first.
Right. And what surprised you most about working with a consultant?
I think number one, again, I probably might be repeating, is just how much I learned about myself. Uh, but it's also how prompt the responses were and how quick I was getting answers. So I think there were two things, just the promptness of it all, and how quickly everything moved, even though it is such a long process, and just learning so much about myself.
Right. And how important do you think is accountability in this process?
I think it is extremely important. Sometimes I felt like I was doing assignments with a deadline of 11:59 p.m. But that is so important because, I mean, at the end of the day, you want to put your best foot forward, right?
Yeah.
You should have that. I felt like I did everything that I could for certain schools, right? And you want to be at that state that after this, I tried everything from my end, and whatever the result is, it'll be it. I think eases off the pressure a little bit. It helps you stay on course, and it also helps you just break the whole process down. It's a really long process, right? If you're not accountable, you're going to be rushed at the end, and then you won't be putting your best foot forward. So I think that was really helpful.
Great. So now let's move to your interview experience. Could you tell us how was your LBS interview experience?
Yeah, it was really good. I think matched me really well. They matched me with someone who had gone to LBS, worked in credit in the exact sector that I worked in, and started in his own fund in India, right? So they matched you really well. I was a little nervous of if it's gonna be me being put under fire, but it was extremely conversational. It went two ways. It felt like having a coffee chat more than an interview where you have to answer rapid fire questions. And yeah, I was made to feel very comfortable. And having that match of someone from your niche, I think helps. Rather than
Hmm.
making it more difficult, because then they get your story, they get what you're trying to do. You're able to have conversations around what you've actually done with the other person, understanding what you're talking about.
Right. So there is less need for context setting and trying to explain industry jargons, for example, and use it more freely to explain your story. So
Exactly.
could
Yeah.
you tell some of the questions that were asked?
Yeah, I think all of it. It was about my goals, why those goals, why MBA, and not joining, let's say, an alternative firm for concentrated exposure. What about LBS excites me? How do I manage communication and personal connect in a global firm with a team spread out across countries? What do I think about diversity? There was discussion on structured products and the deal that person had done and something similar I did. So how did I structure it? And what worked for him, what worked for me, what probably didn't work for me. And then also about my personal life, what I like doing personally, and how I got Coldplay concert tickets. So it was literally
Oh,
about everything.
wow, that really sounds like a very well-rounded interview set of questions and getting to know you more. And how did you prepare for the interview?
Yeah, so I made an exhaustive, or I don't think there's an exhaustive list of questions, but I made let's say a long list of questions, and the TRP bank of questions really helped in that, where questions are broken out by schools. I kind of combined all schools' question together, and
Hmm.
I noted all of them down, and I wrote down only pointers. That's something that you guys had also recommended, so that they don't sound rehearsed. You don't want to be overtly uh, rehearsed in your answers or make it feel like, oh, you've just really like by hearted something and you're coming and spitting out words rather than showing your own personality. So I wrote down pointers, things that I wanted to highlight, uh, and then try to remember those. I watched a lot of interviews like this one from on the TRP YouTube channel to just calm my nerves, get a context of what different schools are expecting, how did other people approach it? What kind of questions were they asked? And I grabbed a friend. The interview experience from TRP was great, and I took notes. And then I grabbed a friend and practiced with her. I would give her a call sometimes right before the interview, yap on call, so that my nerves were calmed down, and then I felt more confident at the interview.
Yeah, I think that you really put in a lot of effort in preparing for the interview, and it is always a good idea to practice as much as possible. A friend, if you find a friend who is ready to give that listening ear, great. Otherwise, just open your camera and video record yourself, and go back and check the recording as many number of times to see where you can improve. So, great. Now we'll move to reflections. Section 6. What receiving the admit. Did you receive it via an email? Was it a call? What was your experience?
Yeah, for LBS, it was email. They tell you around the time. They tell you like they give you a time frame of when you're gonna receive it, but they give you the exact date you're gonna receive it on the website. So I was constantly checking my emails, and then I decided, okay, I'm not gonna see my phone. Picked up
Okay.
my phone and suddenly had the email, and it really felt surreal. It felt like 10 years of work, coming to fruition now, and it just I was shaking at the time. So yeah, it felt surreal. I didn't absorb it for a couple of days initially. It was really good.
And who was the first person you told about the admit?
It was my parents. I called them immediately and I was screaming so they couldn't understand what I was saying. But I think it was as much of their dream as it was mine. They've done a lot for me, made a lot of sacrifices for particularly my education as well. And just try to give me a better life throughout the process and throughout their lives, and put my education first, which was also a part of my application actually. So it's them that I gave the first call to.
Was there any moment during the process when you actually felt like that you're losing confidence and these admits look hard?
Yeah, so I also applied to HEC in the process, and before I got a reply from a lot of the other schools, I got a reply from them, and I'd applied in one of their latter stages, and I'd been rejected from the interview itself. So
Hmm.
at that time, I had that question of, oh, like I got rejected. Will I get rejected from other schools? Is my application actually not good enough? Should I have waited? So a lot of doubts popped in. But I think one thing I also did was immediately bring back myself to just positive thoughts. Okay, this happened. Take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 2 hours to feel bad about it. But then get back to reality. The reality is you haven't heard back from other schools.
Other schools,
So
right?
we'll see how that goes and just stay positive.
Yeah. And what sacrifices? I mean, sacrifices is a strong word, but what is the kind of trade-offs that you had to make during this process?
Yeah, I think one thing for me initially was my time management. I did want to still have a social life, but I had a very demanding job. I also wanted to do the GMAT and the application, so I had to really cut down on how much time, let's say, I was spending with my friends for months together, right? Through the GMAT, through applying to a lot of schools, um, because of the demanding job, right? I also still wanted to put my best foot forward at work and given 100%. And for that, I would then have to wake up earlier. A lot of times I was losing sleep. I would not recommend that 100%, but you have to do when you're pushed to a wall, you have to do what you can. So I
Yeah.
did cut off my social life for quite a bit and lessened my sleep for a bit of time as well.
And what is it that you're most grateful for right now after all of this?
I think the LBS admit meant a lot to me, but through this process, how much I've gotten to know myself, the admit itself, I mentioned I've recognized so many more wins that I didn't pay heed to. So I'm really
Mhm.
grateful for the confidence that I have, achieved in myself. I used to think that, oh, I'm gonna get my lowest score in quant in GMAT, and I got a 90 in quant at the end of the day. So I built confidence throughout this journey. After that, in the whole brainstorming sessions, I found out so much that I had done that I didn't realize. And now I can feel like I can do so much more, and I have a little more faith in myself to do them. So I
Wow.
think I'll be the most grateful about that.
And what dreams feels possible today that didn't feel achievable earlier?
I used to think that, oh, I'm going to become a top investment professional. I'm going to become a
Mm.
partner at a big firm, or, one day I will. I didn't think about opening a fund one day, but now I feel like I can. I should have more faith. And all of that seems possible now with the journey with TRP itself, with the admit, with everything I'm going to learn at the school as well. And I have had stages where I kept questioning myself, about these dreams, about if I'm cut out for it. But I think that now those doubts have faded, and someone else just shining light on your wins, or someone else saying, "I will take a bet on you," kind of gives you that confidence to do better and dream bigger.
Yeah, and with so much of writing and manifesting in the air, actually sometimes this goals is just a way of manifesting. I'm writing these goals, and this is what I want to manifest in my life. I've heard so many clients who've actually come back and said, you know what we are doing what we wrote in the application. So I don't know how, in what ways does that work, but a lot of people come back and say that, they're actually following what goals they have put on paper. So, yeah, wishing you really all the best for your fund very soon. Now, scholarships. You received a scholarship in addition to your admit. So, can you tell us about the scholarship you received and what it means to you personally?
Yeah, so I did end up receiving scholarships from all the schools that I applied to, including LBS. And I think from the LBS, I received a 30,000 pound scholarship. And it honestly means so much to me because, one, coming from a currency which is weaker to the GBP,
Yeah.
it is an MBA is also a financial decision as much as it is a career decision. And given that it's such a big financial ask, I think it really eases the pressure. And when you have that pressure eased, you're able to concentrate more or put more of your energy into doing better. And I think that would really help me and my family as well, right, financially, but also for me to then now concentrate my energy into what I actually want to do, trying to dream bigger, take higher risks. And yeah, I'm truly grateful for having received the scholarship for that.
Yeah. And what do you think made your profile stand out for scholarship consideration?
I think I have tried to remain a high achiever through school, through university, and at work. And I have been able to a lot of times juggle multiple responsibilities, including extracurricular or external exams with these. And that is something that I just highlighted to the committee. And I think that probably mattered to a lot of the schools because at the end of the day, they're trying to take a bet on someone's potential. And that might have stood out as someone who already has a track record of having done these things and juggled multiple responsibilities while being, let's say, at the top of the class or a higher achiever. That
Mhm.
might have made them give me the scholarship, maybe.
Right. So you did mention that you had scholarships across different schools that you had applied to, and then you finally chose LBS. How did receiving the scholarship influence your final school decision?
I think personally, I would have gone for LBS either ways because it was my dream school. I
Yes.
remember when I came in, I told you, I just want to get into
Yes.
LBS. I don't know other
Yeah.
schools. I want to get into LBS. But I think the scholarship definitely added to my zeal to do better.
Mhm.
Um, and it, as I mentioned, it has helped definitely from a financial perspective. But now I also think I have the responsibility to contribute better to the school, not just while I'm there, but also after. And how am I being as a student, and as an alumni to the school itself?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I remember when you came in, it was almost in my head also that Anushka has to go to LBS. So when you were getting those Oxford offers and Cambridge offers and other offers, I was like, no, no, you're going to LBS because when you dreamt this at the age of 16, it means something, right? Like, uh, I'm glad that you are going at a place where, and just going and achieving all of it that you've dreamt about so far. Now let's go to the last section, Anushka, which is rapid fire, one of my favorite sections. One word, one sentence answers. One word that describes your MBA journey.
Arduous. It was difficult, it was long, but it paid off, but it was a lot of hard work.
Great. And biggest myth about MBA admissions.
I think this at least is more applicable in India is that if you have a perfect GMAT, you have an admission.
Okay. One thing applicants worry about too much.
Um, Same as me, if the story is enough or not.
Okay. Most underrated part of the application.
Storytelling. That is the most important and the most underrated.
And one quality that top schools value according to you.
I think it would be two. One is potential. So what is your potential for leadership, for contribution to the skill, for overall excellence in general? And the other would be clarity. How much clarity do you have in your thought, goals, in what you want? Even if that clarity is, I'm not fully sure what I want right now.
Mhm. One thing you wish you knew earlier.
Um, that the process is longer than you think. So start
Mhm.
a little bit earlier.
Okay. And a one podcast or book or resource that helped you.
I have a few. Is that okay?
Yeah,
I used
please,
a
please.
lot of the red pen videos on YouTube, a lot of them. I read Atomic Habits, that helped me, and Diary of a CEO and Jay Shetty podcasts.
Wow, that's quite
Yeah,
a lot, right? Atomic Habits is
especially
one of my favorite books as well. So yeah.
yeah, and especially the body language podcast as well. Because if you're going for a physical interview or even online, it is good to have those body language cues handy in your head where
Mhm.
where you're projecting confidence or what not to do.
Yeah, no, body language is very important even for online interviews. But while it becomes very obvious when it comes to personal interviews and in-person interviews, but even in Zoom interviews, it is very important and something that should be given a lot of consideration, even if it's just the top body which is visible. So, coffee chats or rankings, what matters more?
Coffee chats.
Hardest part of the process in one word.
For me, it was the GMAT, but I think also the introspection. That was really
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you mentioned because introspection is not easy, right? GMAT, you still know that there's a course to be taken and completed, and you could go back and revise your answers. But introspection is it's very tough,
Yeah,
especially in this age and era where there is just so much distraction.
yeah. And
Great.
you can't
That
chat
brings
GPT that.
you can't chat GPT that. Yeah, you can't chat GPT your life. No matter how much chat GPT knows about you, you still can't chat GPT that. So, Anushka, it was so awesome talking to you. Thank you so much for your time today. And I wish you all the best for the journey ahead. And really, lots and lots and lots of best wishes.
Thank you so much, Gunjan. It was my
Thank
pleasure,
you.
and thank you so much for all your help as well.
Thank you. Most welcome. See you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.